You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
See, this is the give a shit meter. And right up at the top, you'll see the Flyers. And then way down here, you'll see the Oilers. We'll get into it with the lead. Gonna pin it up right behind me. That's really crooked. Pin it up right behind me so no one forgets the reason the Oilers lost last night. Welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday, Friday edition of the show. As always, live from the Sports Closet Studio, sportscloset.ca, 3 locations in the Edmonton area, St. Albert Mall, Sherwood Park Mall, and Kingsway Mall. Yeah, I can't imagine people are in a great mood today, Liam.
Why? What happened?
Yeah, exactly. We will break it all down today on the show. We're going to be joined by Murat Ates in about 18 minutes to get set for tomorrow night, which will hopefully be a bounce-back night for the Oilers against the Winnipeg Jets. Murat covers the Jets for the Athletic. And, of course, it's a Friday, which means our boy Baggedmilk's here. He's in a great mood, though, because nothing could ruin Blink-182 album release day.
You know what? Honestly, Aaron and I were texting after he finished After Dark last night. And I was just like, I needed that album to come out last night because I was so angry.
It made the loss go down way smoother.
100%.
I know a handful of you were in the After Dark stream last night, so you kind of heard Aaron and I break it down in the moment. I was not in a good mood. It was just not even one of those games where, like, you know, maybe they fought back for 20 minutes or they got off to a good start, then fell apart. So you could be like, oh, like, let's pull a few positives. Like, from the get-go last night, it was so apparent. There was one team that was interested. There was one team that was not interested. Simple.
I kind of disagree just in the sense that I thought the Oilers were fine for the first maybe 10 minutes. I think if they had gotten a goal there early on, things may have gotten different. But, like, the reality is they fell apart completely. They look completely disinterested. Completely disinterested.
Yeah, there really wasn't much of anything. Like, we were trying yesterday to pull positive Oilers, Liam, from that game, and, like, again, Dylan Holloway hustled. Great to see. Warren Fogle, the first goal. We can talk about that in a second. But, like, Warren Fogle was moving and, like, ripping the puck. I don't know where he got this shot from all of a sudden. But outside of those two, there really wasn't anyone I thought was good last night.
No, do you know what? I will give a little bit of credit to Jack Campbell. I know I'll get into that. I thought he actually did a decent job, all things considered. But there was that, again, one moment where the Oilers goaltending didn't show up, but it essentially lost them the game in some perspective, in some way, right?
We'll talk about that one.
Yeah, but overall, just, I don't know. It's game 4 of the season. Like, where are your feet? Where's the urgency? Like, there was a question last night in the post game that Jay Woodcroft was asked. I can't remember who, after he dropped his F-bomb.
Yeah, which was hilarious.
Which was sick.
And somebody asked, he's like, do you think this team is just waiting for April and May hockey? And all I could think of in my head was, and I know it's game 4, is like, well, you got to get there first. Yeah, you got to actually win some hockey games and act like you want to be in the same building as some of these teams. You should be beating the wheels off the Philadelphia.
I went off on a rant last night about that. There's no bye to the playoffs.
No,
There's no nothing. You have to play 82 games for a reason.
Like,
and if that is the mindset of the players, that's a much deeper rooted problem.
And just, again, it's early in the season, but Vegas has got off to a great start. The Bruins have got off to a great start.
Reno.
Colorado haven't lost a game yet. I think Dallas have lost one in overtime, I think. All these teams are supposedly cup contenders with the Edmonton Oilers. I've got us to fantastic starts of the season. Granted, it's not going to all be this the entire year, but getting off to a good start is a big part of the season too.
The word you used that I want to touch on, urgency, zero. I mean, look at the third period last night. They were down by what, 2 at the start of the third?
Yes.
They had 4 shots on goal in the third period. They have yet to score a third period goal. 80 minutes of hockey, gone, 0 offense.
I don't get that. Like, this team has always been one that you always believed is, like, never out of a game. But to go 4 games without a goal in the third period is a stat. They said, I couldn't believe it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Never betting the comeback.
Never live bet the comeback, at least not right now. They've not shown that they have that side to them. Over on the Century Mile Racetrack and Casino YouTube chat, new races every Friday and Saturday. A great way to spend your Friday night tonight in Edmonton if you're looking for something to do. Mike D had the first comment. He said there's no room for negativity right now. Last year we were 2-2 after 4 games. This year we're 1-3. Not a huge difference in results. The huge difference comes from our expectations going into it. I would disagree with that a little bit. I think the difference is we were fed a month straight of it's different this year. Everyone's back early for captain skates. These guys are going to be dialed in, ready to play playoff style hockey from the jump. It's cup or bust. And then you come out and you go 1-3 despite like who are the elite teams they've played? None. Vancouver's good. They might make the playoffs. They're not elite. Nashville's not elite. Philly's not elite.
I guarantee you that the 3 teams the Oilers have played this season, more people had them outside of a playoff spot in their preseason predictions and had them in. Like the Oilers, look, like we're obviously a lot higher on the Oilers than probably most people would be because we watch them so heavily, but like they should be at least 3-1 right now. And it's not due to a lack of skill, and it's due to a lack of effort.
Yep.
Like you look at the goals they allowed last night, and not majority, I'm pretty sure all of them came directly from errors from the Edmonton Oilers.
Yep.
And it was similar as well in the Vancouver 4-3 loss. The 8-1 loss was of credit to Vancouver. They walked all over us.
Yeah.
But those two losses have literally come directly from the Oilers being bad and showing a lack of effort.
The Oilers were down 2 heading into the third period. Not insurmountable at all.
Nope.
They got outshot 16-4 in the third period.
That's just, it was like, I don't remember who
They packed it in.
They looked like they were getting ready for the plane ride home before the game was over.
Yeah.
And I just like this, you said it, Tyler, like we got fed the captain skate stuff and they're showing up to town early and they're looking like they're playing like the captain's skates were nothing but kissing each other to get mono.
Well, maybe they should have had more kissing.
Maybe.
Tighter in the locker room.
There's something that it came up on After Dark last night, drove me nuts. I see it
good.
coming up.
I want you to get into that.
Well, it's coming up now in Facebook and the YouTube chat. It is such a weak criticism to whenever your team struggles, immediately go to the coach.
Oh yeah, Harvey, come on.
I mean, what are we doing here? I know people are last night in the chat were like, oh, like the defensive structure. And there's one guy, Stealth, was in the chat like, oh, the defensive structure. Why would Woody do that? We're not Vegas. We can't be coached like Vegas. Last night, you can go through the 4 goals. Not a single one was the result of poor defensive structure. Every single one was a dumb turnover or lack of effort.
Yes.
Or one the goalie should have stopped. Like there was nothing there where the Flyers, there was actually not even that many moments in that game where the Flyers like ran their show in the offensive zone and the Oilers couldn't get the puck out. The defensive structure was fine, not the issue. Jay Woodcroft, what do you want him to do? You want him to yell at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to back check harder on the first goal? This is the shorthanded goal, turnover back the other way. And I mean, played poorly by Evan Bouchard. You have a guy coming back for support. You can be aggressive. You don't need to back into your goalie. I didn't like that play at all. Like there is a lot that stands out. Christopher Palmer keeps thinking I'm yelling at him. I wasn't yelling at you, Chris Palmer. I was yelling at the other guy. Damn it.
Not yet. Anyway.
Now I'm yelling at you.
And just like, how many games do you see the Oilers power play look so ineffective?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
like
spot, penalty kill.
They did run the table last night.
Okay. Dude. Mike in on the Facebook. Check the Oilers' winning percentage since Woody became a coach and tell me why all those wins aren't to his credit, but all the losses are entirely his fault. That's exactly what people are doing here.
Yes.
Like since Jay Woodcroft took over, the Oilers are one of the best teams in the NHL in the regular season. Yeah. If you're going to sit there and be like, oh, gotta go. We should fire him. We should fire him. Like Harvey, any coach could do it. Dave Tippett wasn't doing it.
No. And that's what
Ken Hitchcock wasn't doing it.
Maybe it's time to bring him back.
Dave?
All of them.
Super coach.
Like the 3 amigos on the bench.
Yeah.
It was like when Pat Quinn and Rennie were both co-head coaches.
That was so weird.
That was also
Now we need to add a third. We need to bring them all back at the band together.
What's Kruger doing? Ralph?
Ralphie.
Freddie?
Maybe
bring in Freddie.
Whatever. Add a little bit of fear. That'd add some
scare the boys into it a
Freddie
little
Kruger
bit.
running around out there. That'll get you going.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler looks so dejected.
Well, like
I'm loving
Jeff's
this.
in the YouTube chat comparing the Oilers to the 60s Packers playing with no effort under Lombardi. I mean, it's a totally that's such an apples to oranges comparison. That's just that can't be what we're talking about here. And I've said this line many times. It is not a coach's job in the NHL to make sure his players are trying hard. This isn't Pee-wee hockey. This isn't you coaching your kid on Saturday morning. These guys, it's their jobs. They're not doing spreadsheets or doing whatever during the day. Then it's like, oh, shit, I got hockey in 2 hours, but I'm kind of tired. It's on the players who get paid millions of dollars to show up and put forth an ounce of effort in your 4th game of the year. This is not December 14th against Arizona when you've played 3 or 4 on a road trip and you're like, damn, we just don't have it tonight. Game 4 of the year, losing record, and they show up like that against a team that tries hard but isn't that good. It's embarrassing. Last night was embarrassing to watch. And if you're down by 2 going into the 3rd period, I don't even want to hear any more of this down by 2, go nuclear, put McDavid and Draisaitl together, because they didn't look interested in coming back last night. Evander Kane had 5 shots on net somehow.
I couldn't believe that.
I couldn't believe that either. Demoted to the 3rd line. No goals through 4 games for Evander Kane. I'm trying to think of a quality scoring chance, maybe 1. It's just, we were fed that stuff, and I know I'm hammering this now a little bit. We got fed the whole captain's gate. This year's different. We've learned our lessons from losing in the playoffs. And I'm not saying they haven't. Maybe they have. But to come out this way through 4 games says something about that room.
I love spicy Tyler.
But like, come on.
No, I don't
got
disagree.
something.
I don't disagree.
You think the Oilers, you think Jay Woodcroft went into the room and was like, boys, no need. We can roll these guys with 50% effort. Let's give it a go. Like, are you dumb? Come on, people.
It's absolutely nuts. And I think that people tend to forget, they're grown ass men in the locker room, right? Like, it's not Jay's job to get them fired up. They get paid millions of dollars. This is the 4th game of the year. I like your point. This isn't December against Arizona. I don't think it's Jay Woodcroft's responsibility to get you motivated. And if that is, my God, do we have issues that are much deeper rooted than I thought.
Well, yeah, like they're not 12 years old. You can't like put on rock and sock them for 20 minutes and be like, let's go get them tonight, boys. Like, Jesus Christ.
We
It's
should
the
try
NHL.
that. Maybe we should try that.
I got a question, and I need your honest opinion on this. Do you think this team misses a guy like Klim Kostin more than we thought? Like, I know he's a guy that would play like 10 minutes a night.
Yeah.
But in the sense of like last night,
Grasping
nobody
straws
really,
here.
No, seriously, like imagine Klim Kostin on this team rather than like Adam Ernie. And that's not to discredit him, because he has actually tried to do a little bit of something and add some bite to this team. But like, there seems to be no character right now. It's so strange to see. Like, at least in those games, sometimes you would see Klim like try and make a big hit or do something. It's not something he would do every night, but you saw it a little bit more often than not. And I just think the Oilers are really missing somebody like that at the moment. Maybe that's why, and I thought about this a lot last night, which I never thought I would, but like the Zach McEwen thing might not be the worst idea in the world anymore.
Did he clear?
It's not. They might have.
No one's posted yet.
Alternate theory. Yes, Puljujärvi coming back from double hip surgery.
He's skating.
We know he makes McDavid better.
I also am like a little bit annoyed by that. Even with the Patrick Kane stuff. Oh, everyone on waivers cleared yesterday.
Damn it.
Could we not, like an NHLer skating by himself on a rink and people being like, whoa, he looks good. You could take the worst player in the AHL and film them by themselves. They would look unreal at hockey because they're in the top like 0.2% of their craft. Like, God, we're not doing this thing with Puljujärvi. That's insane. Also, Liam, respectfully, if Klim Kostin is the reason you can't win hockey games, that says something.
I'm not saying Klim Kostin would have helped them win that game. I'm just saying the lack of character in this team is so apparent at the moment.
Their identity is McDavid and Draisaitl,
which is bad.
It's a problem.
It's a problem. Yep. Like, we've been looking at this team and like,
especially when they're bad, those two.
like, and this is not to take a shot at Desharnais by any means, because he was fine last night, I guess you could say, but like, he's brought in to be a physical guy. He was literally replaced Broberg last night for that reason. Yeah. And you didn't really see it. Like, I just think they're missing that little bit of bite, that someone who's going to like bring some energy, and we can sit here and laugh about it all we want. But when we played the LA Kings last season and we sucked up until that point, it was 3 fights in that game that took him over the line and seemed to bring some shit together. And they don't have that at the moment.
Yeah.
I tweeted last night during the game, Evander Kane looks like he needs a scrap or something.
It looks like he needs to be a healthy scratch
to get himself going.
I think.
So to your point,
third line,
maybe they need some kind of everybody in the pile situation to get themselves going.
Maybe they do. That's what I'm trying to get at the most.
I understand
don't have that guy right now.
I understand your point with Klim Kostin there. I went on a little rant last night as well at After Dark. It's the classic. I mean, no genius to say this, but when you're not producing, when you're not showing up, you have to affect the game in some way, whether that's a big hit, a face wash, a smash in somebody's leg. And that's something Klim Kostin did all the time. He's a high energy guy. he would tend to get involved and do stuff like that. And you're right. It's not a shot to Adam Ernie or something like that, but I'm not seeing him do what Clem used to do as well. So, Liam, you're not totally off, in my opinion.
I'm not off at all.
All right.
I said totally off.
It may be so like kind of like a caveman theory to me, but like that was one of those games where if you're gonna lose like that, go down swinging.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they remember that game that turned their season around against the Kings last year?
It, yes.
They lost 6-3 and they just went and beat the shit out of them. And we're like, we're sick of it. And you know what it did? Maybe you're on to something, Liam, okay?
Hey,
Sure. But it did give them an identity. We saw other guys consistently going out and getting in the fight.
And yeah, and you know, like I'm not saying the moves Ken Holland made over the summer are bad by any means, but like they lost Yamamoto as well. A bit of an energy guy too. A guy's going to get on their forecheck. I know Holloway's done a good job of that, but it's like they've just lost a little bit of that character, I think, and they're trying to find themselves at the moment. And it's not looked good through 4 games, -1, where damn, they could have been on a 20-game losing streak, and Draisaitl could have had 10 goals against Nashville. But it's just like they're just missing that part of them. And it doesn't get easier. Jets, Wild, Rangers, Flames.
We want to try pull some positives. Someone in the YouTube chat, like we are at this point of the overreaction, floated out the idea: should we bury Connor Brown in the minors for the rest of the year so we don't have to pay the bonus next year?
Something to think about.
That is like, I hate that we're talking about this, but it is also hilarious.
It is
because he looks like a guy who hasn't played in a year.
Yeah, but he looked good in the preseason, which is like, damn. Thought he was going to be more ready to go. He is generating some looks. I think at some point, Connor Brown, like I haven't seen the effort thing be an issue with Connor Brown.
Yeah. The underlying numbers are good. So if you subscribe to that, you would think he's going to turn.
I'm not overly worried about Connor Brown like I am of Evander Kane.
Yeah, I think that guy needs to up it a little bit here. Brent said it's not Woody's job to motivate the players. It's his job to hold the players accountable. He took Evander Kane off that line last night. He's moved Connor Brown down the lineup. I think if people want to sit there and be like bench Bouchard, my question would be, what do you want Woody to do? Because guess what? 22 minutes of Vinny Desharnais isn't the answer. It'll actually probably look worse. And I like Vinny. I think he's a good third pairing D-man, but this is their team. They're set in. You're not healthy scratching Evan Bouchard just to, I don't even know, like play Broberg 18 minutes next game. Like that's insane.
11-7 next game.
Yeah, I go 11-7 next game. I've seen enough of Adam Ernie for a lifetime.
It's just, you know what? And it's not to disrespect that fourth line because Derek Ryan actually drew a penalty.
Matthias Janmark was moving better than he has all year.
And Ernie, he just, I don't know. He's tried to add some stuff. Like he got in a fight against Nashville. He was poking at the goalie last night to try and at least get something going a little bit. But I need a little bit more from him. I just feel like rotating McDavid and Draisaitl between Janmark and Derek Ryan once every 5 shifts, whatever it may be, is way more effective than having Ernie. And then also it just helps you back in too when you have Broberg and Desharnais. And then Ekholm is still finding his feet. He still is.
He had a good game against Nashville. I didn't think he was terrible last night.
It wasn't terrible.
Room to
but
improve.
If you can take maybe shift or 2 off for him just to rotate somebody else through to help his feet towards the end of the game, I think that's more beneficial. And Winnipeg, 1-3 like us, but they've got a good lineup too.
Evander Kane has been on the ice for 61 5v5 minutes so far this season. The Oilers have been outscored 6-1 in that process, and he's played the most of those minutes with their 2 best players.
Is that bad?
We'll find out.
It's gonna take him a while to crawl out of that hole. Also, the roller coaster that is the game we played after night 1 of how long will it take the Oilers goal differential to get back to even. I mean, I thought there was a chance we were going to get back. I
was feeling good after Nashville.
We're back down to like -8. Damn. I said Heritage Classic
might still be the take.
One.
That might still be it.
Someone on After Dark yesterday said the Oilers are just saving themselves for the Heritage Classic.
Please don't. Please find some kind of form before you pack a stadium. And then,
there's going to be a lot more eyes on you.
What is that, 60,000 people?
On the bright side, 60,000 people being very angry at you should be a good motivator to get something done.
That'd be a lot of booze.
All right, we need to quickly get to our Alberta Blue Cross moment of the game. Only one thing better than sharing memories. It's making new ones. Alberta Blue Cross Travel Insurance protects your memories and more. Wherever your travel takes you, visit ab.bluecross.ca. I think the big game changer was Oilers cut the lead down to 1 on a Zach Hyman goal. It's like, okay, maybe this is going to spark them. And then shorthanded the other way, Sean Walker fires one. This goal can't happen. Cup contending teams don't let stuff like this happen. Brutal turnover, and then played poorly by Bouchard, and then also a shot that Jack Campbell should probably have, because that's not David Pasternak coming down the wings. That's Sean Walker. And he looked like David Pasternak.
A guy who was scratched when the Oilers played the LA Kings in the playoffs last year.
A guy who was a cap dump by the LA Kings this year, more or less.
Yeah.
He had one leg up. God damn it. Sean Walker's coming in down the wing with one leg up, going top shelf on Jack Campbell. What are we doing here?
That's how confident other teams are going up against us right now. My Alberta Blue Cross moment of the game, the end of it. It was awesome. I had a great evening going on to watch that terrible Thursday night football game. Thank you, Derek Carr, for not knowing how to throw a football anymore. Shout out to
ridiculous.
Great Thursday night overall. But I capped it off with a nice little Betway bet win.
We'll get to that later. Let's get to the Star Mechanical guest line. We're joined by our friend Murat Ates. He covers the Winnipeg Jets for The Athletic. Star Mechanical, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. Murat, we're fired up today. So thank you.
I was watching the segment there, and you guys are good. The chemistry is good. The fired upness, the grief is there, isn't it?
The grief is real.
Yeah,
yes.
we're trying to represent the fan base a little bit. The Oilers taking on the Jets tomorrow night. Jets also not off to a great start this year. But before we talk about the team, I wanted to ask you about the Pierre-Luc Dubois return, because I only watched it on SportsCenter. It looked like one of the more awkward things we're going to see this year. Like when they gave him the video tribute and like there were some boos, but like 8 people stood up and kind of clapped. How weird was that in the arena?
I was wondering if they were going to do, a full-fledged proper video tribute with the highlights and the big goals and things like that. It was just kind of a couple of clips and a thanks for being here sort of deal. And I think that maybe that was, an editorial decision that mirrored what happened in the arena too, because it was a smattering of cheers, a smattering of boos. It wasn't, one of the all-time greats returning. It wasn't one of the all-time enemies returning. It was just this guy that was supposed to help in a big way. And maybe the biggest help that he gave was asking out in terms of the package that Winnipeg got back.
I want to talk about that next. You read my mind. I liked that return. I look at that, and like after going up against LA in the last 2 playoff series, like from an Oilers perspective, I walked away from them being like, Villardi's very good, Iafalo's very good, and I like Rasmus Kupari. What have been the early returns on those 3 in Jets jerseys? I know Villardi's out, but
it's the Villardi. What a script! Like Pierre-Luc Dubois comes back, Villardi gets hurt, Pierre-Luc Dubois scores the first goal of the game. And then it like holds up for the winner until about a minute left. Scheifele scores to erase that. But it was the worst script you could write from a Jets perspective. To answer your actual question, Gabriel Villari, for the few games that we saw for training camp, he looked great. He honestly did. He's a big guy. He protects the puck on the boards really well. And then some players who do that with that strength, they don't really have the vision for what comes next. His head is always up. He's reading the game. He's processing. And he found some pretty good chemistry with Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor. You're always seeing them form triangles on the ice. They were making seam passes. They really were reading each other well. So it's a great shame from Jets' perspective that Villardi's hurt. 4 to 6 weeks is better than it could have been, but you never like to see that. Alex Iafalo is one of my. I've really been warm to his game. I didn't watch a ton of Kings last year. I watched some. And I think that maybe I didn't appreciate just how good of a forechecker he is, how good he is at always being in the right place at the right time on the ice. He seems to be one of those instant chemistry guys, but usually when you use that euphemism, it's, well, we put him wherever and he tries really hard. But he actually gets stuff done too. He scored 2 goals against Vegas last night and has been a pretty solid piece for the Jets as well. Kupari's looked fast. He's looked like a useful piece with some growing room as well. So you do have to like, especially given Winnipeg was painted in a corner as much as they were, you have to like that they got something that they can work from as good as they've got.
Yeah, I mean, I think when everyone saw that deal, I think everyone thought Winnipeg kind of won the deal in some ways, right? Like you get an entire third line, and then obviously Scheifele and Hellebuyck both re-signed too. What was the initial reaction to that? Because it was very surprising.
Yeah.
I think they're linked, actually. The trade return being so good may have had an influence because, I don't know how much of this got out, but, Montreal was in on the Dubois deal right until the very end, right? Like there was an attempt to make a futures-based trade is my understanding of that situation right until the very end. And even when it was well known it was going to be LA. And I think that Winnipeg getting a package that helps them win in the next little while. And Winnipeg's not a juggernaut of a team, but they're a quality team and they got quality pieces back. So I think that the draft and that trade is roughly where the winds began to turn with respect to Scheifele and Hellebuyck. I don't think Winnipeg was getting the greatest offers in the universe trade-wise for them when they were having those kinds of discussions. But then from their perspective, when they can look and see the team got some good pieces back, and then they make it back to Winnipeg, in August and September, and they sit down with Kevin Cheveldayoff face-to-face. One of the big changes was Cheveldayoff, instead of keeping his cards close to his vest like he always does, he kind of opened up the playbook and he said, well, here's, our timeline on prospects. Here's what we think, where we think we can grow. Here's our cap situation. And I think the combination of all those things, a win now trade return, not an incredible trade market, and also Winnipeg's desire to stay competitive, like they needed those guys if they're going to fight for a playoff spot, all sort of work together to keep them in town.
So it's a 1-3 start. I mean, again, coming into the regular season, you had the 3 new guys from LA, the new extensions are signed, vibes are high in Winnipeg, and then they come out of the gates and they're 2 games under 500. For the people watching who maybe haven't zeroed in on the Jets in all 4 of these games, have they been bad efforts like we're talking about with the Oilers? Has it maybe just been a couple of lucky bounces each way? Are they actually playing decent hockey? What's your early read on the first 12 periods of hockey for the Jets?
Yeah, I appreciate the nod to the idea of a small sample size, even though you didn't use those words. Like the general trend is Winnipeg's been playing a decent brand of hockey. Don't expect them to be 1-3 cellar dweller looking type of team when the teams play against each other. There were 2 miserable periods. Those were in the game against Los Angeles, and that game was a bit of a dog, I think, from the Jets' perspective all around. Other than that, outside of that, even in the losses, like we're talking right after Winnipeg lost to Vegas 5-3, there have been a lot of things to like. There's been a flow of play to like. There's been underlying metrics to like. Winnipeg's giving up too many goals, though, and it's either on the goalies or the fact that Winnipeg's D are making some pretty horrendous giveaways at the wrong time. So in an overall sense, I would like to pitch that the Winnipeg Jets are a fun team who's had the better of possession for most of the season, but they've also played against good teams who have made them pay for their mistakes.
Yeah, defensive errors sound very familiar. I think we've seen that a few times.
Tomorrow could be just an absolute shit show then if both things hold up. I quickly want to talk about Connor Hellebuyck because his numbers aren't great, but you kind of alluded to it there. I want to know, like, is Connor Hellebuyck struggling or is Connor Hellebuyck just facing breakaways and 2-on-1s that he can't stop?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a little bit of both. We're used to Connor Hellebuyck throwing up the wall in Winnipeg, and even in some of the most horrid roster situations like 2020, he just about clawed that team into the playoffs. And, everybody knows how Vezina caliber he's been over so many of his seasons. So far this year, though, I think between him and Brossoit, and he's played 3, Brossoit's played 1, Winnipeg's given up at least 4 goals every single game. And that is a problem. And I think it's a combination of both those things. Hellebuyck hasn't showed that elite, okay, I'm just going to flat out steal goals element to his game that he often has. And at the same time, Winnipeg has things on lock. Oh, there's a giveaway. It's a 2-on-1 and with speed and in transition. And there's been a lot of that Winnipeg's goalies have had to deal with.
Is it going to be Hellebuyck tomorrow night? Is that your best guess? Because I'm just looking like Hellebuyck has a career save percentage sub 900 against the Oilers. And Laurent Brossoit, we know he is lights out almost every time he plays in Edmonton. But is it Hellebuck's net tomorrow?
Yeah, for sure it is. Brossoit played against Vegas, which I think was a nod to play against his most recent old team.
There you go.
So, yeah, I think it'll be Hellebuyck against Edmonton.
Laurent Brossoit becoming a sneaky puck doku answer. Murat, do you have another one? Or you
I guess what's your perspective on what the Edmonton Oilers have been this season from an outside one? Like, we obviously all think the sky is falling and nothing will ever get better, but like,
it is.
What is it from an outside perspective on the Oilers right now?
I would like to pretend that I have a better insight. I actually grew up watching a lot of Edmonton. In terms of tears shed upon retirements in my life, it's Christine Sinclair today and Ryan Smith once upon a time. But in this year, all I see is the Connor McDavid spinning goal highlight and the abhorrent, the horrid goals against totals And then I saw that clip of Woodcroft talking and dropping an F-bomb, basically saying the standard isn't good enough. So I assume there's some kind of defensive mess happening, even though I haven't watched it to see myself.
Yeah.
Well, I think you caught all the headlines, to be honest.
Whenever I see a coach freaking out in a press conference, and Woodcroft didn't freak out, it was just an F-bomb, but you could tell he was very, very mad. I'm always laughing, and I remember like when I covered the Oil Kings in the W doing the post-game presser, I covered some bad teams, and when the coach would come in and start screaming, like, I was always like, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. Have you ever had that, Murat, where like a coach is freaking out and you're like, oh my God, this is the funniest thing ever, but I cannot like break my straight face?
Not with coaches, but it used to happen when Blake Wheeler would get tense, right? Like he would have no problem letting a reporter know that a question was just awful. And then he would answer it greatly. There would just be a beat where he like stared you down. And then afterwards, he'd give you a 3-dimensional intelligent answer on it. And sometimes when I could sort of see it coming, like I hear the reporter asking the question and I can see Blake's about to do that steel-eyed thing that he does. I have had to look away from some of those scrums. I think he's a very funny guy.
We really appreciate you hopping on the show, man. We'll chat again a couple times throughout the year.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
There you go. Murat Ates from The Athletic. He covers the Jets like a blanket. I always love saying that. Like a blanket. He joins us on the Star Mechanical Guest Line, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. This Jets team, I mean, 1-3. You kind of hear their defense is maybe not all that great. And it's like, maybe the Oilers can do some damage tomorrow night.
All I could hear was 4 goals per game against, eh?
Bet the over.
Bet the over. I'm in. Damn it, I'm in.
When you look at this Jets team,
That's rad.
and the Oilers obviously have better high-end talent, kind of similar.
Yep.
In some regards, like blue line has question marks, but some good players.
They healthy scratch Nate Schmidt last night.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I like Nick Schmidt. Like forward group's pretty good and fairly deep, like the Oilers. Bit more youth in the bottom 6, I would say, but like side by side, it's not too different. Do you think I'm on something there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a high-end forward group, maybe depth that leaves you wanting more. A blue line that's incomplete. The only difference is the Jets have a legit Vezina caliber goalie.
That really,
and that'd be what's concerning.
How dare you?
Yeah.
I know the Oilers have kind of gotten to him a few times in the past, but still, it would be a little worrisome.
Tyler, people in the chat asked your give a shit meter fell down.
Well, that is unsurprising.
Do you know what, though? That is an
Really
apt
is.
metaphor for what the fuck happened last night.
Yeah,
When it sadly
exactly.
fell down and went shoo.
It's because it wanted
I
to go
didn't even
lower.
notice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was trying
Tyler
to
has it
plummet
too
even
high.
more. Connor Hellebuyck expected to get the start tomorrow. All the game day breakdown stuff will be happening on pregame with Boardsy, brought to you by Sherwood Ford the Giant tomorrow.
Yep.
So look for that 7:00 start for that pregame show tomorrow because it's an 8:00 national broadcast.
But it's a little bit of hockey night in Canada, and the vibes are going to be high. We might even have a couple of surprises for you, and I mean the Oilers might have a couple of surprises for you as well. We'll see what's in store.
And we have post game.
Oh yeah, and
Hey,
Liam's going to be
it's going
joining
to
me.
be you two on postgame, right?
Yep.
Nice.
That's right,
did,
and it's Gavin's birthday tomorrow. Ooh, look at that! I'll see you at Greta afterwards.
There you go.
Happy early birthday, G baby.
The last 2 times Connor Hellebuyck has faced the Oilers would have been, they played back-to-back last year. Yeah, they did.
Jets?
Yeah.
Was it right around Christmas?
January,
that happened?
February, March 3rd and March 4th. And Hellebuyck gave up 9 goals in 2 games.
Oh, and they played New Year's Eve. That was it. And it was like 2-1.
Yeah, and Hellebuyck's up 31-32 in that game.
So boring.
So the Oilers have gotten to Hellebuyck the last 2. Before that, pretty solid run where he gave up 1-3, 1-2, and 2. So that's how Hellebuyck has fared recently. His best performance ever against the Oilers in terms of save percentage. Well, he's actually pitched 2 shutouts in his career against them. But his worst performance against the Oilers came in January, February, March, April 26th of 2021 when he allowed 6 goals on 23 shots somehow.
What was the date? Sorry, April
26.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
birthday.
7.
Could have been a birthday gift.
I'm not good at just seeing a number. I mean, like, I know that month.
Give me a number. I'll tell you a month.
7.
July.
That wasn't that quite fast though.
Oh,
5.
May.
Ooh, good one. 3.
March.
That's funny. All right.
4.
April. Because I know it. Because I'm dialed in. Now I'm dialed in. All right. Heading over back to the Century Mile Racetrack and Casino YouTube chat. You guys enjoyed that. Some people were talking about Spicy Woodcroft. Someone said it was calculated. It was intentional. He wanted to come out and do that, maybe make some headlines. I don't think so. That wasn't like an angry rant sort of thing where like the coach wants to get attention onto him, not onto how bad his team played. That was just a slip.
It just slipped out.
It was funny.
It's kind of like when you swear in front of your parents when you're younger.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
Damn
that's not good.
That was a very much a visceral reaction. I felt like where you stub your toe and you say fuck.
Yeah.
He said what we all felt.
Yep.
Well, it was about Fogle, right? It was
Fogle made comments about like that lack of effort, and Woody just kind of whatever agreed with it. Let's stay focused on tomorrow night's matchup against the Winnipeg Jets. Get to our opposition notes presented by Wendy's. We got a fun little game launching with Wendy's and Daily Face-Off next week. It is the Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool. I'm going to give you a chance to win some very, 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 very real prizes, such as food prizes from Wendy's for week-to-week winners. And if you win the whole thing, $5,000 cash. Pretty good. $5,000. Yep, that is pretty good. JBC's this weekend, boys.
Oh,
yeah. I might get one on the way home.
I got Wendy's last night.
The question is how many JBCs, not JBC's question mark.
Jay treats JBC's as a side, which I respect as well. Like get your main burger, then get a JBC.
I just pile up the JBCs
all the time. Get a Baconator, get some side JBCs and a side chili.
I like
it's
that.
a diet of champions right there.
They do have a great taco salad.
They do. I was talking about this yesterday.
Fantastic.
Amen. All right, here are your game notes. The Jets 1-3 coming off a loss to the Golden Knights. Connor Hellebuyck has struggled this year. Murat says he's expected to get the start, but he's got a 4.38 goals against average to go along with an 843 save percentage. The Jets, despite their poor results, have actually been doing some pretty good things at 5-on-5. Their 5v5 shots 4 per 60 is second in the NHL, or sorry, shot 4 percentage is second in the NHL. They generate the second most shots for, and they generate they're about middle of the pack in shots against. So
they're a team that you can just never underestimate. They've got a lot of good players.
They're fifth in shots against. They're very good.
They've got a lot of good players. The goaltending is a stud.
Yep.
And
they're very similar to Philly.
The blue line's way better.
Yeah, the blue line's way better. But like
They've
a
got
forward
talent.
group, and they're more talented, but like a forward group that will, even if it's not going their way, they will try to outwork you. They have a goalie who can steal a game, and their blue line is better. That's a good point.
So the other's kryptonite. Kind of worked hard against
effort.
But yeah, like you look through this, and
that's the frustrating part of it is the Oilers look like they're playing like they think everything should be easy.
Yeah, it is so true. It's so true, and they're gonna find out on Saturday again that they got to work hard to win games, and hopefully, being at home, the Oilers can go up against this Winnipeg team and honestly just give us some entertainment. Let's have a shootout. Not a literal one, just like 12 goals.
The first 4 games have been the meme. The Oilers have fucked around and they found out.
They did find out big time.
Yeah. Nova says they're a competent version of Philly. Maybe that's a good way to put it.
Do you think they're a playoff team?
I have them as a playoff team this year.
You do? Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I did
4-4, right?
Yeah, I did 4-4 for my division split. Edmonton, Vegas, Calgary, and LA, and then in the Central, I had Colorado, Mini, Dallas, and Winnipeg are my 4 playoff teams.
See my Kraken one last night.
Yeah, hey, that'll help your goals for per games, popping home 7.
Winnipeg currently last in the Central, which is kind of funny. That division is so weird. Like Chicago, credit to them, like 5-game road trip to come out 2-3 and have really one stinker, which was last night at the end of it. Like, but credit to them. But yeah, Winnipeg. Gonna be a tough game tomorrow.
Dacky is in and says, to be fair, the Oilers always struggle against teams we should dominate. We always give every team a chance, no matter how good.
That is so true.
So accurate.
Yeah, and that is something that dates back to, basically the start of the McDavid era. When they go up against a bad team, they play down to their opposition. I was just hoping they'd kind of outgrown that.
I've argued with Gregor about it so many times. Go, buddy, they don't actually play down against the bad teams. Yes, they do.
They just did it.
They just did it. And they did it against the Canucks. So we're talking 3 of 4 games playing down to the opposition.
And like sometimes they have the number of some teams. Like last year, I think they beat San Jose every time they played them. But they also split against Anaheim.
Yes.
It's like, sometimes you're going to beat bad teams.
They lost both games against Philly last year.
That's right. Yeah, they did. Yeah. It's just like, figure it out. They lost a couple of games against Arizona too. So you got to make these
points you want to get
count. And I can forgive a loss against a Vegas or something like that.
Yeah.
Or I can even forgive a loss against Philadelphia, to be honest, in Philadelphia. But you need to show me that what you want to play for the
Here's
win.
the way I would look at it is like, I can forgive any loss provided that we don't feel like we did today, that the Oilers just did not give a shit.
Yeah.
If they were coming out pumping shots on Carter Hart last night and he was standing on his head and it was one of those games where they got goalied, you go, well, it happens.
Yeah. I do think on Saturday they're going to be able to bounce back. I mean, to give them credit, they bounced back relatively well when they got thumped 8-1. That was a much better game against Vancouver the next night.
And again,
they
that
bounced
game
back
in
again
isolation,
against
you're fine with.
Yeah, that's a good point. In isolation. Then they bounced back again against Nashville. But you can't go every third game and just have a terrible game.
Yeah.
One step forward, 2 steps back is kind of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nuge Lover says there's good and bad ways to lose. And I agree. Like at some point in the season, you get sick of moral losses. But early in the year, like maybe even Winnipeg, you can forgive some losses in a 1-3 start. If you're sitting there going, we are shooting the puck a ton, we're kind of getting goalied, we're preventing a lot of shots, just need to get the grade A mistakes out of our game, and we're good. For the Oilers, it's a lot more than that right now. Not Tyler Yaremchuk either says they lost the division by 1 point last year. It's shit like this at the beginning of the season that is not good to see. I think I agree with you a little bit.
Great
on that.
point.
You dropped 6 points already.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're not going to win every game, obviously, but win the ones that you can. You should be.
4 games, no third period goals.
Yes.
Some interesting waiver news today in the NHL. The Columbus Blue Jackets placing forward Liam Foudy on waivers. He was the 18th overall selection in the 2018 draft. He's played in 90 NHL games. He's only scored 7 goals. The Oilers, of course, took Evan Bouchard that season. So, hey, could be worse.
Some people call me a foodie.
What?
Liam Foodie.
Are you related to him?
I'm a foodie.
The similarities
Oh,
of your
you're a
name is
burger
striking.
reviewer. Okay.
I was not
Sure.
following that at all.
Yeah, that was a tough one for me too, Liam. It's all good, buddy.
We all saw you make those nachos.
Yeah. He is a very speedy centerman, but he shoots left. Don't see a ton of upside with him, but he's fast.
Could he be your fourth line center? Then you pump Adam Ernie.
I think if you're going to bring up anyone who's a bit of a, in air quotes, project, probably Lavoie at this point. But
It'd be 4-0 if they had Lavoie, you know?
Puljujarvi's on this team.
Yeah. Did you see that video of Puljujarvi doing crossovers?
Whoa. Against who?
Him and Patrick Kane.
Shadows.
Yeah, his own shadow. Cole is in, says feels like the bottom 6 is missing some sandpaper, like a physical presence like Costin. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that earlier in the show.
Liam's just like,
Yeah. People are, you should feel validated. Liam.
Clip that.
Outlandish says, as an aside, I'm trying to pick a Heritage Classic jersey to buy. I'd like Holloway, but 55 is a crappy number. I disagree. I think 55 is kind of a cool number.
It's kind of a cool
But
number.
Mark Letestu.
Mark Letestu, how dare you?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, nice.
Right?
Nice.
Scheifele.
You could get an Oilers Mark Scheifele. Nobody's doing it.
If
Oh.
One of one.
Go ahead.
Tyler Yaremchuk wants me to address the tweet I had after the Oilers lost the opener, where I said, this team will start 7-2-1, and we'll look back at tonight and laugh. Well, we're not laughing anymore. So
7-3 still possible.
7-3, here we go.
Yeah.
and to wrap up the segment, Jay Diz says, for the Survivor contest, brought to you by Wendy's, do you need to be in Alberta to win? No, you need to be in Canada.
Yeah,
Just
just
Canada.
Canadian.
US, unfortunately.
Yeah, sorry.
entry.
It's a
Sorry,
cool
no
game
offense.
too. Like I'm excited when we launch
Yeah,
it, so
we've-
you guys actually play along. There's also leaderboards where you can track how
Yeah.
we're doing in the game.
I'm excited for this.
I'm excited to see
Cool.
which staff members are just going to be terrible.
Probably me.
Can we play?
Just pick Nuge every
Yeah,
night.
of course we're gonna play.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We should play on the show.
I am going to be winning.
That's a good idea.
JBC's boys.
All right, there you go. Let's get to a new Friday segment we're doing. It is the Crown Royal, generous guys and gals, and it is brought to you by these guys right here. Crown Royal. Generosity lives in the small things. Crown Royal, crown everything. Liam, who's your generous guy of the week?
My generous guy is a girl. A generous
It
gal.
is called generous guy or gal.
I'm going to go with the Canadian legend,
Mhm.
Christine Sinclair. who
Murat
announced,
talked about this a bit.
Her retirement today. Just a great ambassador to the game of football, for women's football worldwide, and just Canadian football, men's and women's. She's a legend. She is the all-time international goal scorer,
Men or women, all
men
time.
or women. She is number
Respect.
one,
Yeah.
and she had a great career. And congratulations to Christine Sinclair.
Yeah, that is big news that came from today. You kind of felt, you talked about this off the air, kind of felt in the last World Cup, they're like, okay, this is coming. Like she'd lost a step,
Yeah.
and you would hate to see her keep trying to extend it. So this seems like a very good, natural walking off point for Christine Sinclair, one of the best Canadian athletes of all time.
It's hard to retire.
Mm-hmm.
It's never a good time because you either have to retire when you're good or retire when you're bad.
Yeah.
And
neither of those are fun outcomes.
No, it's a difficult thing to do, but she'll obviously always be remembered for her historic moments, like winning the Olympics.
Yes, big Canadian sports moments. Mine is going to go to a few different people. Leo Carlson, second overall pick in the draft, overshadowed a bit by Connor Bedard maybe, but he came out, made his NHL debut, scored a goal. Troy Terry made a great feed over to him. Very good. But it also gave me one of my favorite little moments in hockey, which is when a guy scores his first goal and then you see one of his teammates like panic over and like have to reach in the net to go get the puck. I don't know why I think it's so funny. Like, oh my God, I got it. Everyone's celebrating. Then one guy, usually like a defenseman's like coming in behind the play and like scooping into the net with his hand. I love that. It's always fun. A neat little thing.
It is cool. Should have probably withheld my Leo Carlson comments.
Yep. He's on pace for a lot of goals, Liam.
79.
Just got to stay healthy and he'll hit it. So there you go. Crown Royal. Let's Crown Royal. Sorry. Generosity lives in the small things. Crown Royal, crown everything.
An honorary generous men go out to the Edmonton Oilers. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Philadelphia Flyers that need new contracts next year. Nothing more generous than letting them pad the stats a little bit.
Hey,
I like that one. I like that one.
Yeah, I had one, and I said my generous guy is going to be Evan Bouchard for all the lovely pizzas he's been serving up on the ice. Honorable mention, Matt Jones is also quite generous to the defense. As you can see,
Bold of you to wear that today.
I am supporting 2 losing teams. That's what I do.
Tough little sports run for our boy AB.
You're telling me.
Both 1 and 3.
There you go. Generous guys and gals, brought to you by Crown Royal. Crown Royal, crown everything.
I love Crown Royal.
Mm-hmm. Do we have our clip?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I kept pausing, waiting for you to hit the button.
You won't find any grand gestures or flashy displays of generosity here. $1 million donations or names on a hospital ring. That's not the only way generosity lives. It doesn't need money or an audience or even acknowledgement. It just needs good people to be good to people. There's no one way to be generous. There are endless ways. And there's a crown for every one of them.
All right. Zachy's in. Let's get Brett Pesce, Jordan Eberle, and send Lane to AHL. I don't know who Lane is.
Lane Peterson, he's already there.
He's already there.
Yep.
Pesce would be great. The Carolina Hurricanes, one of the best teams in the NHL. Probably not trading him.
Jordan Eberle going to fight.
Well, he had to.
He's trying to show the Oilers he's ready to play playoff hockey again.
We need guys like that in this lineup.
Yeah, kid, Jordan Eberle.
4th line, Jordan Eberle.
New Clint Costin? You never know. Never know. It is a busy sports weekend. It is probably the best sports weekend of the year. NLCS, ALCS still going. NFL football, NHL hockey. When's NBA tip off?
Well, preseason's
still going?
I think it's
soon.
next week.
Next week. All right.
End of October.
Leads us into what's on the menu this weekend for our friends at DoorDash.
Ding dong.
They can be your holiday hack. Everything you need delivered right to your door. Dash that for the win. And for a limited time, our Canadian listeners can get 25% off and no delivery fees on their first order when they use the promo code that's up at the top of the screen, Nation25 in all caps. Nation25 for a nice little discount when you download the app for the first time.
I used it already.
And it worked?
It worked like a charm.
Attaboy.
Had a great meal.
I'm going to use mine this weekend.
Yep, me too.
All
I
right.
actually ordered DoorDash and forgot to use it.
I
felt so
Son
stupid.
of a gun. Tonight, doubleheader, Major League Baseball. You got a couple of big games. Astros Rangers tied at 2. Game 5 goes tonight. Phillies up 2-1, but the game is in Arizona, so they're looking to even that series up on home field before going back to the bank for the end of the series. Although it's 2-3-2 in baseball. Tonight, pretty quiet night in the NHL. Just the 2 games on tap, which is fine because they're saving them for Saturday. Calgary in Columbus and the Devils taking on the Islanders. Tomorrow night, though, is a great slate in the NHL with a ton of really intriguing matchups. You got the Wings taking on the Sens, 11 a.m. Both 3-1 to start the year. Both going to be fighting tooth and nail for that final playoff spot. For the whole year, they'll be going back and forth. So that's a really good matchup. Obviously, Oilers Jets at 8 o'clock. Potential Stanley Cup final preview, maybe. Oilers fans hoping not, but Colorado and Carolina going head to head. That'll be a good one. And then Connor Bedard making his home debut against the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, they've really teed up that guy for a nice, easy start to the season here.
Yeah, you finally get to play on home ice, and it's against the 5-0 Vegas Golden Knights. Anything you're excited to watch this weekend, Liam?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight's late match. Oh, everything ends at 7. Thanks, NHL, again. I'm so tired of this, Tyler, and I will argue against it every time we do it.
You could come watch the Golden Bears at 7 o'clock.
Who do they play?
I might be coming. They're playing Calgary.
Yeah, they're playing Calgary.
The Dinos? Oh, I could see my boy Arjun Atwell.
There you
on the
go.
Dinos.
You
Yeah,
should come.
I might.
Liam, let's go.
Golden
I'm not
Bears.
working there anymore, so I get to go to a game for the
And have
first time
beers.
as a fan. You've never been to the
I've
Drake?
No, because I worked for the Crusaders forever. So whenever I got a weekend off, I didn't fancy spending it at the rink.
This is a PSA to everybody out there. If you've never been to an Alberta Golden Bears, that's actually where I met Tyler. That's how I got this job.
Mhm.
They are the most electric games, especially when they play the Dinos, because the student section is absolutely reckless and hilarious. They build the beer pyramids. It's such a good time. Tyler, I will see you there later tonight.
There you go. BM, what's on your menu this weekend?
Crying.
But what if the Oilers win Saturday?
Still crying.
UFC Saturday night.
Saturday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's in Abu
Abu
Dhabi.
Dhabi. That's sweet.
My menu, though,
Mhm.
Sunday, Detroit is going to kick the Ravens' ass.
Let's
Plus 135 on the money line.
Let's dig into things over on Betway 19+. Please play responsibly. Lots of sports on, so lots of ways for you to get in on it.
Yes,
Throw a
sir.
couple bucks down on some games this weekend. Cook up a sweet parlay. Hey, how'd your every game of the night parlay do?
Well, last night was not great.
Ah.
There was a heavy ticket in the NHL last night, and I'd say maybe 50-50 on money line bets. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm just every Oilers game day, I'm doing a $1 bet, but I'm trying to do a mega parlay on all the money lines.
As you do.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It keeps you engaged in the
Yep.
night, and then as soon as your parlay dies, you go, nah.
You make another one.
But like last night, $1 would have turned into $6.50 if I hit it.
All you got to do is hit one of
You
these.
just gotta hit one.
Yep.
Just gotta hit one.
All right. My NFL teaser of the week, knocking all these spreads down by 6 points. The first leg, taking the Bills, knocking them down to 2.5 against your Patriots, Aaron.
Should we throw down? You gotta give
I
me
mean,
odds.
come on,
You gotta
come
give me
on,
odds. If
come
that's the
on.
case.
Uh,
If you lose to New England,
Yeah, I know that.
don't bother showing up.
So that's leg one. Leg two, Liam taking your Lions from +3 up to +9.
I can't even believe they're underdogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the final leg of it is taking the Dolphins against the Eagles and teasing them from 2.5 to 8.5.
Like that.
So a couple of plays where you're crossing over the big numbers you're supposed to in a good teaser, and then taking the Bills down to 2.5.
You know, I'm not big on the teasers,
I know you don't like them, but I like them.
but I like betting just straight up on the spreads.
You like all three of those spreads though?
I
Miami's 2.5.
yeah, I like Miami.
But Tyler's a teasing himself, so it fits.
I know.
I
know?
never started teasing until I started hanging out with Tyler, and then
Well,
it's effective.
there's some good ones out there. I think the Lions +3 is really good. What's the other one I liked here? The Cleveland Browns -3 against Indianapolis. I know it's in Indy, but Garner Minshew's a starter.
Mhm.
And then there was another one here too that I quite liked.
Bills, Lions, Ravens money, or Bills, Lions, Dolphins money line parlay pays over 5 to 1.
That is good.
I'm staying away from Dolphins Eagles.
That's
It's
fair.
gonna be a tough one. I like Seattle 7.5 versus
Yep.
Arizona.
Giddy up. Giddy up. There you go. Betway 19+. Please play responsibly. Oilers Jets tomorrow night. I haven't seen a line on Oilers Jets yet. I would imagine the Oilers are going to be favorites though. But we'll see. Anyone you like from an individual perspective to bounce back tomorrow night, BM.
Yeah, Connor. That's the
That's an
layup
easy
answer.
one.
Last night was just very un-Connor like
Yep.
with some of his puck choices, so he's the easy one. I want to manifest a Kane goal. I really want to. The odds are probably juicy, so I don't know. Those are the two that I want to pick.
A bounce back performer.
Yeah, from the oil.
Let's go with Stu.
I like
I'm
that.
assuming he's going to start. Whoever's between the pipes, to be honest, I'll take that.
Yeah, AB.
I'm gonna go with mine. I guess it's not really bounce back because he's been our guy, but I think he's gonna pot one. It's Dylan Holloway.
I like that.
It's Dills, as the YouTube chat says.
I quickly around the horn. Would you play Holloway on the top line tomorrow?
Yes.
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 There you go, Woody. I know you're listening.
Are you demoting, as we talked about yesterday? It's
Yeah.
Kane and Brown.
Well, how are we
Demoting
looking
Kane.
then? How are we looking?
I'm demoting Kane, but here's my prediction. Kane scores.
Hey,
I think Evander Kane's going to finally find the back
Jay
of the net
Woodcroft
tomorrow.
fired. Tyler Yaremchuk in.
Yeah,
Let's
I'm
go.
in.
Well, and
Uh,
also the thing too, like Kane generally scores in bunches.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah,
he
we gotta
gets
be due
one
for a
tomorrow,
hat trick.
we are due for a hat trick.
We are.
Damn it, I'm in.
I would do Holloway, McDavid, Draisaitl. I would keep the second line the same, Hyman, RNH, and Fogle, and then I'd go Brown, Kane, McLeod.
Yep. I might mix it up even further. I might go
Desharnais on the first line.
Holloway,
Ernie.
McDavid. My bad. Brown. Then I'm gonna go Kane,
Take your
Dry, McLeod,
Whoa.
something like that. And
Oh, you're going.
I'll keep a second line together. Spread it out. Like I said it last night. I tweeted it. It was tongue in cheek. Was that the same?
Mhm.
I was like, make the lines nuclear in the third. Well, a bit too late for that, isn't it? Like, don't put your weapons all out there at once. So if it goes wrong, and I'm also going 11-7.
Yeah, I'd go 11-7 tomorrow. That seems like a good
11-7
choice.
for sure.
Because then you can put Dry McDavid together if you really need to.
And you could just
I don't know.
roll them through every now and then on the fourth line. Maybe you try and get a greasy matchup win.
The Oilers are more flexible, more dangerous when they're more flexible.
Yeah, I agree with you, buddy. There you go. We'll be breaking it all down tomorrow, 7 o'clock on pregame with Boardsy, brought to you by Sherwood Ford the Giant. It's the Sherwood Ford Giant game day tomorrow. Big shout out to Sports Closet, the Sports Closet Studio. Oilers jerseys, looking sharp. Sports Closet's got them. Get them for the big game. Century Mile Racetrack and Casino, Alberta Blue Cross, Wendy's, Star Mechanical, Crown Royal, DoorDash, and Betway. Also, Greta, if you're looking for a spot to maybe go watch the game Saturday night, or maybe you're going to the game, need an after party. Greta, that is the spot. Go shoot some hoops.
Post-victory Mario Kart.
Post-victory Mario Kart is the way
I
to do it.
think you'll see me there.
There you go. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to the show all week. Pre-game, post-game tomorrow. You won't want to miss that. And then we'll be back on Monday, 12:01 Mountain Time. Chat with you then. Have a good weekend.
Thank you for watching Oilers Nation Every Day. Hit the subscribe button to never miss a show. And for more, visit OilersNation.com.